let's start. People will keep on joining. So once again, thank you all for joining today afternoon. I'll start by stating one of Peter Drucker's very famous quote. The only real difference between one organization to another is the performance of its people. And that is what we are talking today. Today's topic is strategic excellence, elevating performance through planning and execution. And we are committed to bring to you exciting topics around business performance, around planning, around execution. And today here we are, right? So let me welcome our esteemed panelists, Shreekrishna Joshi and Deepanjali Khurana. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for finding out time, that too in weekdays. It means a lot. Before we start, certain house rules. Okay, audience, you can post your questions in the Q&A session as as the time passes by. Your questions will be read by me. Your questions will be read by our panelists, and we'll cover up those questions. So thank you once again for joining. So I'll welcome Shreekrishna and Deepanjali. So please tell our audience, introduce yourself to our audience and briefly. And yeah, Deepanjali, let's start with you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Ravi. Thanks for having me over. So I am working as an AVP strategy at Prescinto, which is a B2B SaaS startup in the renewable space. My role here is encompassing a lot of different projects, one of which is definitely improving the performance of the entire organization. Prior to this, I have worked in another startup called Hivo Data. There again, I was in founder's office and I was looking after special projects and go-to-market strategy. Before that, I worked in consulting and project management domains for a couple of years before that. So that's a bit about me, and I hope we have a great interaction and people, the audience is able to gain something out of it.
Thank you, Deepanjali. Thank you once again, Shreekrishna.
Hello all. First of all, thank you, Ravi, for having me over here. I'm Shreekrishna. I stay in Pune. I have a working experience in human resources for 15 years. So I have worked with industries related to construction and EPC. And after working for 15 years, I decided to be on my own. So for the last 7 years, I have been working as an HR consultant. I'm an OKR coach, so I have done my OKR certification. Since then, I have been coaching clients on OKRs. Along with this, I am a life coach and also have done my work in psychoanalysis and a certified psychodrama practitioner. The reason this topic is of interest to me is because I'm a avid cyclist running, and I've been doing like extensive expeditions in cycling, be it Pune to Goa, Pune to Kanyakumari. And when you're doing these kinds of expedition, you really need to plan well and most importantly, execute well to give that performance. And all those experiences of my in those this one has actually taught me a lot about planning and execution. And that's what I keep on sharing with all my partners whenever I get a chance to work with. And I'm all excited to interact with all of you today. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Shreekrishna. And as we strive to bring the finest panelists to you now, I hope you all are excited about Shreekrishna's introduction and also what Deepanjali brings on the table. And please, if you feel free to connect to them, we would be very happy to make the connection with them to you. Okay, so let's move forward. Okay. Now we are living. India is right now bustling with the startup. Okay, it's also very challenging times also because the slowdown in all the funding area, and also how India is so progressive about startups. So, Shri Krishna, I'd like to come to you and understand, or if you want to share an example that illustrates the essence of strategy planning for startups.
My experience with startup, because as a consultant, I have worked with startup and startups which are now have stabilized and worked with over a period of time, and then now have moved as far as the headcount wise, the revenue and turnover wise, is that uh, they have an understanding. It's not that they don't have an understanding. They have the understanding. That's the reason they are there in the market, and that's the reason they are being able to deliver what they are delivering. However, what happens is that it's still at a very niche. This one it's a niche stage wherein the certain structure that is required for understanding and executing of the strategic planning is somewhere the work still requires. So they have done something. That's the reason they are where they are. But having a formalized structure, and from that structure to execute the strategies and something, is an area which needs to be further explored. What they also need to which they are understanding it, but needs to implement consistently, is the fact that what they have achieved till now is not sufficient for them to go to the next level. For that, they need to do something little more, and that's where the the things are right now as far as the startups are concerned.
Thank you. Very well said. Deepanjali, now on one hand, we understood the strategy planning for the startups, why it is important in the startup. And let us understand on another extreme, on the other side of the coin, how what does that mean in today's dynamic landscape when we talk about the corporates, when we talk about the larger companies? What exactly it means for them?
Got it. So, when we talk about strategy planning, so in very, very simple or layman terms, it is nothing but setting an objective or a set of objectives and defining the path to reach there, right? This is a very layman, my own definition, so to say. And what happens for companies in different stages is that these objectives could be very different from each other. And what different companies have to take into account is not just the what their goal is. So generally, today we hear startups, they talk about two main things. One is growth, and the other is profitability, right? So more or less all the objectives are set around these two parameters. But when you are a very small early stage startup, growth could mean something very different. Growth could mean selling the product that you already have. For a big organization, which is say 1,000+ employees or so, growth could mean expanding into new geographies. It could also mean developing a new product. So these parameters change as the stage of the company changes. And to define these objectives, the company has to take into account what their immediate objectives are, along with how the market is moving, the customer is demanding, how the competition is going forward. So all of these things come into picture, and that is how the companies are able to define basically that, this is my objective for this next 1 year or next 3 years. So I think that is how companies move ahead in this world today.
Okay. Now, thank you. Can we also state one example as a challenge? What challenges do you see in terms of strategy planning, Deepanjali?
So in terms of planning per se, because I come from startup background, I can give you my example. So what I have seen in one of my previous organizations was that the focus was clearly on growth, right? So the focus was on growth, but there was very little understanding of how to, define that growth path.
Mm.
So let's say if we are talking about a digital product or a SaaS product, there can be different channels of growth that you need to explore. So you have to, the initial level of growth, or the initial objective should have been, in retrospect, if I say, should have been experimenting on different channels and seeing what is working, and then defining one and scaling it up, right?
Mhm.
So these are certain very, very basic challenges that come, that when you don't have a planning process in place, you might go into multiple different directions, and you might end up failing, or you might end up wasting a lot of your time and resources. So that is where a structured process of planning comes into, comes in handy for the management as well.
Right. So what will work, what will not work? Yeah. One challenge, Shreekrishna, from your side in strategy
Um,
planning part.
Planning part is, the thing is that, as Deepanjali has rightly said, it's like, not being able to define it,
Mm.
and to, like, where exactly where we have to go. It doesn't have to be exact, but where we have to go. That
Mm.
defining in itself is a challenge to
Mm.
be able to. So it's, as I said, that they know it. Okay, you get this clients, you do this, but there is no, like, after 3 years where we will be.
Mm.
That kind of a strategic planning, this understanding is still getting developed. I'm
Okay.
not saying it is absent, but it
Mm.
is getting developed,
Getting
and
the
that's
plan.
the challenge
Very well. Oh, very meaningful. Now, what I'm hearing is that yes, what will work, what will not work. Still, that muscles for that strategic planning is being developed. Now, as in my opinion, or the way I see that, if we need to solve something, there must be a structure to it. There must be, as we say, that there should be some framework. So do you think that the framework is required for strategy planning? And how do you evaluate the one out of a lot of frameworks, a lot of structures? How do you pick one? Which one is the best? So I would be coming to both of you. Deepanjali, first, let's hear from you.
So in terms of frameworks, so when we talk about strategy planning, basically what is the end goal, that is of paramount importance. Based on that, even the frameworks might change. For example, a company that is trying to expand into an adjacent market, or trying to develop a new product, for them, they might need to look at a framework of innovation strategy, right? Or someone who has been selling a product which is very, very niche, or selling to a specific set of market, and now they want to expand to a bigger market. They might want to go to a framework around blue ocean strategy, right? So frameworks of strategy are dependent on what the company or the organization is trying to achieve, right? But in general, in terms of, let's say, if I have to look at how do you look at the strategic process itself, how do you look at the planning and execution, tracking that? So I think there are a couple of good frameworks. Balanced scorecard is one good framework around it. OKRs is another good framework around it. So and depends on the organization and the team culture and the dynamics. One framework might work better for the for one company and the other for another one. So depending on the context, it might vary.
So, but you do agree that the framework is required, because the problem that you were also saying that what works, what does not work, how do I plan? So, a
Right.
framework is required.
Yeah. So I think, and especially in startups, where anyway there is a lot of ambiguity around a lot of different things, right? So startups are always uh, looking out the door in what my competitor is doing, how is my customer reacting to my new campaign or my new offering, right? So already there is a lot of ambiguity going around, and you have to quickly change gears if needed. So I think there needs to be a framework which basically defines a pathway for a certain duration of time, that okay, I cannot just be in a reactive mode all the time. The planning part is already done. In the next 3 months I should be here, in the next 6 months I should be there. So so I can look back and say that yeah, I have actually moved somewhere. There has been a good displacement or not.
Right. Thank you. Audiences, I believe that you would be relating to what we are talking right now, because new financial year is going to start. You must all have finished your EOPs and all, and there must be a strategy in the making, or already you have made that strategy, how you will be looking next financial year. So it's very important, if anyone wants to connect with us, to our esteemed panelists on the balance scorecard, on our OKRs, you're more than welcome. Sri, now, what do you say that, yes, is that framework required? Is some framework required? And how do you evaluate between the one that works? What is your thought on that?
First of all, I definitely say that the framework is required. Now, what is a framework? A framework will actually show you a little structured path as to how to go about in a very simple way of understanding. So, what do you need? You would need your vision and mission. You would need your objectives, your key results, and then a process to keep on reviewing and seeing where we have reached. A very, very simple way. This is a thing that is required for people to actually execute their plan and execute their strategy. Now, my experience has been more with OKRs.
Okay.
And I must say that for all the clients that I have coached, OKRs have really worked well for. And the reason that I say that is, first of all, there is a flexibility that the OKR framework gives to the client in terms of to start with, and also in terms of to keep on evaluating it depending on the environment, depending on the the market, the competition, and everything and all. And most importantly, a very structured process of execution, which I think is the crux and the critical aspect of any anything that we are doing it. And that's where OKRs have been, in my opinion, has been one of the fantastic framework that I have come in.
Very nice. Thank you. Very interesting. So anyone, if you want to understand about OKRs, yes, Shreekrishna is here. Yeah. Definitely, yes, I cannot agree more with you, Shri, because as job, we also practice OKRs, and definitely, yes, we are also talking with a lot of our prospects and clients on balance scorecard, different strategies that they're using. But yeah, can't agree more. Okay, now since we are talking about OKRs and you both have talked about OKRs, let us now talk and try to cover some points on that, okay? Now, seems that you both have been the part of OKR journey in some or other way. You, Shri Krishna, you may have implemented Deepanjali, since you are in the founders office, you're heading the founders office. So definitely, yes, I see that, yes, you are spearheading the whole initiative, okay? So, Deepanjali, how do you create the sparks of transformation within the organization? Because when we understand that, yes, a framework is required, and we then finalize one framework, and then the second part is that that framework should be, I like to say adopted, because adopted comes with the time, but is that excitement that yes, something new is going to happen, that sparks of transformation, something good is going to happen. How do they create a spark of transformation within organization?
So I have implemented OKRs as a framework in in two of the organizations, and I've also had the opportunity to guide some of my other friends who are in a similar role, and who are implementing this. So what I've seen across the board that happens once you initiate such a project, right? So and I've seen both ends, right? A place where it is already running, and a place where it is getting introduced very newly. So in a place where we introduce such a new project, what happens first of all is that all the teams or the relevant team members who are going to get onboarded into this process, they quickly get aligned to one common goal. That is in fact, that was one of the problem statements when I started implementing this framework in my new organization when I had changed jobs, that the entire company or different teams are not aligned to one goal, which is reaching, let's say, XYZ number of revenue, right? So product team is working in some other direction, sales team is working in another direction, marketing team is working on something else. So what quickly happens, which immediately happens with this process, is that everyone involved gets aligned to one common goal, which is there for them to see clearly, tangibly. And that is one very clear transformation that is we are able to see. And it also eventually over the months, it reflects in the performance of different teams as well. The next thing which we see not very immediately, but after a few months, is that the team members or team leads who are working, and every week they are tracking their progress on OKRs, the managers are reviewing them, they become very, very accountable. They feel ownership for the key results that they have been assigned. And they also feel a sense of pride in once they achieve those. So that is something which I don't think it is something very easy to implement otherwise for companies. The other way that we usually see is rewards and recognitions, right? Which may or may not happen very frequently. And again, that is another framework altogether that companies might have to define. But in terms of improving the performance, this is what we see very clearly, because they are also able to see the progress. And lastly, I think one more factor that comes into picture is transparency, right? So if, let's say, I am part of a marketing team, I am able to clearly see what the sales team is doing. And as a sense of teamwork, if I can help anywhere, I will be able to pitch in and say that see, this is a intervention that we from marketing can do to help help the sales team achieve their KR, or vice versa. So everyone across the board is able to see how different teams are performing, and they are able to contribute their ideas and their inputs as well. So that level of transparency and visibility across the organization is also something that I really, really like about this OKR process.
Right. Very nice. Very elaborative. Thank you. Thank you. Basically, what you're saying is the very first excitement and the very first validity of that transformation people get because of that transparency, because they first time see that, yes, where my company wants to go, and they can align themselves, they can see that reflection of their growth with the company growth. That is what I think so you wanted to say. Very nice. Thank you. Shri Krishna, would you like to expand on this?
Yes. So, I mean, just a few more points with what Deepanjali has said, basically. So, my experience has been that the leadership buy-in is the most critical thing. The leadership is in a line and says that, no, this is something that we want to do. There are certain areas that we want to look into it. Then the whole process in that sense works quite smoothly in the organization. And this has been my experience because I have coached around 8 to 9 clients on OKRs from varied industries. And that's been the first thing. The other thing that I have worked and what I have understood is that during the coaching, if you are able to make it simple for them, because initially to it takes a little time to it's a at the end of the day it's a framework. At the end of the day, it's a methodology, and it takes a little time to grasp it. So I have never been very particular about the language and etc. and everything. I said that these are key ingredients that we need to know to begin with. And from there on, the process starts. So one of the very interesting thing that I have been talking and everything is that there are two P's which are very, very critical. One is patience, and the other is perseverance, because you are just not going to get the results, at the snap of the finger. It takes time. You are building certain things. It's a framework, but that framework at a broader level is also addressing certain cultural aspects of it. Like, Deepanjali said, that it's like the team works in silos. And that's a pain area for many organizations. Be it startups, be it mid-size or even grown organization, functions working in silos is a pain area. When you actually in OKRs, when you bring that bidirectional alignment, and this has been one of the fantastic sessions that I had when we were working together with the bidirectional team alignment. Because there were discussions, there were arguments, there was this one and everything. And then with all this fun, they were able to come to a common goal and work towards it. So that becomes the first step. But the most critical aspect that I have seen is the review process. And for the review process, if they have a good OKR champion who is who in that sense is able to drive it internally. So if you start in the first month of a quarter, second month of the quarter, by 45 days and everything, slowly and gradually there has been some kind of an alignment that already comes up into the process. So in that sense, it's like once they start seeing things happening, once they start things start to say that, oh no, this is something that is working, and for whatever reasons we are at least doing some 4 or 5 things together. The excitement slowly and gradually just comes in. It's all about holding it for that particular period of time for them to experience it, because once they experience it, they gradually take up the process ahead. That's been my experience.
Very interesting. Time is what you have emphasized. Patience is what you emphasized. That any framework, especially OKR framework, once you have that buy-in, it will definitely take time. It is not something that will happen just a click of the button. And yeah, and also since you shared that what are the different aspects which really helps. Okay, so thank you. Now, since we are talking about a framework, okay, so framework is a very broader area with a lot of sub areas to it or subtopics to it. Since you both have implemented OKRs, I would like to understand what are the areas that you have focused on initially. Shreekrishna, we can start with you.
See, for every organization and the industry, it was different.
Okay.
Because I have coached clients on OKRs who were from construction and real estate industry, and this industry in itself is a very unorganized industry.
That's still more interesting, I think. So
yeah.
different for different
and
industries.
then the concepts that or in a framework we talk about, say, quarterly results, 6 monthly or annual results and everything. For them, the financials and everything are very different.
Yes. Yeah.
The legalities are different. So it's spending that time understanding. And one of the things is that because at the end of the day, when we talk about key results, it's all measurable. So there has to be a number. And not every organization that has this database, has this MIS and everything in place. So it also required to actually go back, say, 1 or 2 level below and say, okay, this is the first thing that we will do as a part of as an OKRs, that okay, this is what we will build it for us to take it ahead. So these kinds of things were different. With IT, it was very clear because the MIS, the processes and everything were in place. So it was then able to take it. But then what was important was to understand where is the pain area. where exactly, where exactly is the problem that is coming up, and then from there on, to be able to take it up at a different level altogether. With an
Right.
entertainment industry, it was more seasonal. So it was like when there was a season, it was all about only numbers, 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 and numbers. But
Yeah.
the value proposition part, the quality part, the training part and everything came when there was low season,
Slow
this one.
down.
So
Yeah.
it was understanding the nuances of all the industries and everything that we are working with. And then what is their priority? What is the vision that they are taking? What is the priority for each and every quarter? And where exactly realistically they can execute certain things. So these things were kept in mind, and accordingly, the things were taken up.
Right, right. What is it for you, Deepanjali? What were the areas that you focused initially that, yes, if I'm able to implement these areas to start with, the rest will be easier.
So I think there are two major points that I have seen which help in the longer run. One is basically Sri Krishna already mentioned about management buy-in, right? So I would expand on that and say that we also need to have buy-in from team leaders, right? So who are actually going to implement the process in their own different teams and departments.
Right.
So I think one very, very critical factor is that, we should have everyone in the leadership team and even their minus ones, if possible, to be aligned on the process. We might need to even do a workshop for them to understand what this OKR methodology is, right? Because some of them might not have an understanding of it in their experience. So I think that is one thing that I looked at. The second issue that we generally come across when a company that has not worked on OKR framework and is asked to start defining objectives and key results, or any particular team for that matter, what happens is there comes a very, very long list of objectives. And ideally objectives should be limited to 3 to 5 key objectives. Then only this framework would be successful, right? Because any team should in a given time duration should be focusing on very, very key aspects relevant for those 3 months or those 6 months. And then obviously over time you can update that and bring in more objectives, close one, bring in another. So what we saw was a similar thing, that one team is coming up with 10 different objectives. So the other thing that we had to initially focus on was also prioritization of objectives, right? So at the company level, let's say if we have defined 2 objectives, we have to at the department level we have to let go any other objectives, right, which are not aligning to these 2 specific objectives. And and then there is at times there is a tussle between team leads, or between management and the team lead, that okay, this, although it is not aligning with the company objective, but this is very, very important, can I let this go, right? So those kind of questions and discussions do come up. So I think a prioritization exercise is also something which is very, very important when we are bringing in this framework.
Yeah, very important prioritization. I hope audience you would be loving it, because the variety of experience we are having in today's discussion is really good, where Shri is stating that yes, the areas is different as per the industry is even more exciting, and how Deepanjali is bringing and saying that what is important as those initial levels of those planning itself, those tussles comes up on the table and all those. Uh, with that tussle, Deepanjali, Shri Krishna, because I have seen, okay, for the audience sake, okay, can you share that, yes, how to deal with that tussle at the planning stage, not at the execution stage, okay, that's the whole different ball game. But at the planning stage, how to manage that tussle and get these goals going on, okay? Let that frame first. What do you do? Like, any suggestions from your side, Sri?
The best way is the data.
Okay.
Because if you have the data in place and the numbers are in place, then it is easy in that sense to figure it out as to what exactly it has to be done. But my experience has been the way that I have worked along with is that uh, when the vision part of the organization and the company level OKRs, which are the top level, this one, we had a very inclusive way of doing it, wherein the HODs, it was not only the CEOs and the CFOs and everything, but even the HODs were part of this. And that's where a lot of buy-in, as Deepanjali said, that the communication is one of the most critical thing, because you need a buy-in. It's just not only from top down. That's where the difference is also there. Like that particular buy-in started to come in. And for that buy-in to happen, and for that at a planning stage as to what exactly is the number, what exactly the numbers part, the data part was very, very critical. The more the data was there, it was easy to actually see what is it that we can actually plan for. What are those realistic stretched, I may say those, so realistic stretch key results can be taken.
Key results can be taken. Perfect. Deepanjali, how do you address that, or how do you overcome those tussles, early tussles?
I think so basically what works is that like in this particular example, what we had seen was that there would be teams, or even at times some certain individuals who would be working on a lot of different things, right? Initially, before this OKR framework was put in place, and we could go back and backtrack and see that, okay, so so and so department has been working on 5 or 7 different initiatives, but none of them are actually giving results, or maybe only 1 or 2 of them are giving results, but we are spending a lot of energy on 5 other as well. Right? So that is what became our ammunition, so to say, that why don't you look at this, what is happening, and let's try to focus our energies on specific things. It's not like we are giving up on those projects or those objectives. We can pick them up in the next quarter. Once these 2 objectives are done, we'll pick the next one up. Right. So that is the way we try to manage that situation, and convince everyone to reduce their objectives. And
right.
So one thing which also comes into picture at times is that so someone who has been working on a lot of different things, and suddenly you ask them to reduce their scope. At times people also become insecure, that is, why is this project being taken away from me? It's not exactly like that. It's just that we are prioritizing something earlier, and something will come up later on. So those kind of discussions also come into picture during this exercise. So it's very, very fruitful at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, and if I may add,
please, yeah.
One of the very good experience that has also been that all of a sudden people also know that how they are actually contributing to the larger picture.
Yeah, right.
Which is right now only gets confined to the department, which they don't know how it is impacting the larger picture.
Does that solve the tussle? Or does that
see,
become...
tussles are going to be there.
Okay.
I mean, let's not expect a very perfect picture.
Yes.
But what is important is that this tussle, as long as people are willing to work, that's the most important aspect. I mean, we are talking about humans, so humans will bring all these things. That's why they are humans, so it's fine. But with all these things, they are still working together. That's a beautiful part. And my experience also has been there are certain set of people who probably never had a very designated key results. When they see, oh, okay, this is something that I am responsible for.
Yes.
It has been a different, it's very nice to see their excitement in that meeting as well.
Yeah.
So it works in different ways for different set of people.
Totally agree. The clarity of what you have to do, and yeah, very interesting. Right. So see the tussle, and right now I have a question that is in a way related to it. The question is, how do you deal with the resistance from employees who are hesitant to adopt new strategy framework? So buy-in, it's a kind of a buy-in question. But maybe since if we do not address that resistance or we do not identify that resistance, that I see that the tussle will definitely happen. Okay, people will stay quiet and they will resist. And the very good form of resistance is show your tussle, bring your problems on the table, unnecessary problems on the table. But so Deepanjali, how do you deal with that resistance? How do you get the, like, as you rightly said that you also focus on those managers buy-in also apart from the decision maker buy-in, right? But how do you deal, very briefly, if you can state, that employees, that
So
those at the last mile beyond managers, how do you deal with their resistance? Or how do you help them getting to on board that decision?
We took a slow approach for this process. So basically, what we did was we rolled out this process for the from CXOs to head of departments to their minus ones. That was the
Hmm.
first phase that
Okay.
we started with.
Mhm.
And couple of quarters in, once they are very used to this process, they are
Mhm.
able to report their progress to their managers, right? At that point, and they are very comfortable with the process, then it becomes easier for them
Hmm.
to replicate that process for their
Hmm.
teams.
Hmm.
So couple of quarters down the line, we introduced it to the next level and so on, right?
Hmm.
So I think that is one way, but it there might still be here and there couple of people who might still not be aligned or not be able to adopt this process very well. So another way that some of our teams, not all of them, have
Hmm.
used it, but some of our team leads, or what they do is they only use the OKR framework as a performance measurement tool.
Okay. Mhm.
So basically, this is where you reflect your performance, and
Hmm.
this is going to be a part of the annual appraisal that will happen.
Mhm.
People get aligned to that eventually. So these are the couple of ways that we have tried and solve for the resistance that comes while introducing this project.
Thank you. Shri, very quickly, your solution for that resistance.
Uh, as I said, that resistance will be there, and because they have their experiences, and those experiences are absolutely valid. There are two things that has been regularly done as far as the the work that I was doing was that communication part
Hmm.
as to why they are doing it, what is it that they are doing this one,
Hmm.
and most importantly was they had to feel and experience it, because
Hmm.
you just can't take away the resistance. Resistance will
Hmm.
only get reduced if you experience some other aspect of it also.
Hmm. Hmm.
If you start experiencing success, so
Hmm.
though in that case it starts to then help.
Hmm.
So initially there was no point in just taking away the resistance. It was just not possible. So the
Hmm.
communication was very clear. The
Hmm.
dialogue channel was open all throughout. And then
Hmm.
as in slowly and gradually when they started to see that how they are getting benefited out of it,
Hmm.
the resistance
Hmm.
over a period of time got reduced.
Hmm.
And I also agree with Deepanjali over here is that it's one of the things is that there is no point in introducing OKRs to all.
Hmm.
Has to be phase wise implemented in the organization. So
Hmm.
it can depend at the certain band levels in the organization, or at times one or two teams in the
Hmm.
organization,
Hmm.
which are very very critical for that particular
Hmm.
business. Because the more at the end of the day, it's you have to see and feel the success to be able to replicate it. It's
Hmm.
as simple as
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Very meaningful. Uh, I cannot help myself by summarizing this because this is a very important point, and I see that uh, it happens all the time. So, first is identify and accept that resistance. Okay, we do not have to what do you say do anything about it. We first of all have to accept it. That's the first thing which I hear. Then to solve it in a very phased manner. We cannot have that expectation that yes, it will be implemented down to line, everyone will be curved and all that. So we have to define our phases, define the time ourselves, looking to the maturity of our company, I believe. Very, very interesting. Though we have a few more questions, but I'm tempted to ask the another question, and then I'll bring in the questions again. Okay. Okay, now the buzzword of today's IT world, that is AI, artificial intelligence. Okay, so let us try to connect OKRs with technology for execution. Now, see, do you see that AI can help in execution? A very direct question to Deepanjali, you can answer that first. Do you see AI helping in execution?
Definitely. So if I give you very simple examples, which I think all of us would have come across, they are like basic apps like Fireflies or Auto.ai, right? Which basically translate your meeting, and they give you very to the point takeaways, action points, owners, right? So that is AI at play, right? Instead of someone actually writing out that minutes of meeting. A tool is able to do that, or a software is able to do that. So in my imagination, I believe that, why can't this extend to an org level, in artificial intelligence, which is within a particular platform or system that the company is using for strategy implementation. So something like that, every organization should have, which is taking into account their own context and helping all the teams, all the team members execute better every day.
Very interesting. Shreekrishna.
100%. AIs are the need of the hour as far as execution of OKRs is concerned, because a good software will actually have the process. Most importantly, in any of the thing is to follow the process correct. Because if you follow the process correctly, you're giving yourself a good chance to achieve your end result. And that gets captured through the software, through the AI. So having AI connects with different other software that the organization may be using AI to share the performance, share the accolades, share the the bravo, pat on back, or whatever that is there. Most importantly, having a wonderful framework or a software in that sense builds, which Deepanjali also talked about, and which is extremely essential in a methodology like OKRs, is a transparency. Because at the end of the day, you know how everyone is performing, and how your contribution is then getting impacted. So AI, without AI, my thing is that OKRs, you will work it, but then it's difficult.
Okay. So can't agree more that yes, AI definitely helps in execution. Now, can I also, as a tech company, as a SaaS company, can I understand that what is your expectation, what you want to see in the product of execution with AI point of view? What do you see that, yes, if this could be solved using technology and AI, the product will be much better. So in any areas, Shri, any modules or any features?
To begin with, any software that we are using has to be simple for the end user. Because we also have to understand that, if you are spreading OKRs across the industry, the software literacy or this one varies across the industry. So in IT, it's a different ball game altogether. Maybe in manufacturing, it's a different ball game. But if you go to something like construction and everything, it's a different ball game altogether. So it has to be, first of all, simple to use. And most importantly, the process has to be very well defined in the software in the form of modules. They should be able to measure it for themselves in terms of if they have done all the mathematical things, how is it getting this one? So for me, one of the standout thing that I would say is the simplicity.
Simplicity. Okay. Deepanjali, what is your need?
So I think simplicity is definitely one thing. I also believe that even even in companies which are building AI products, they might feel that why are we going to a platform to fill in our key result updates, right? So it's not just about the literacy of platforms. It's also about being able to bring the users to that platform. The platform needs to have that kind of attraction to itself, right? Because there are so many other things that people would rather do today,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So that is definitely one thing. But in terms of specifically addressing the topic of execution in different teams, I think I would definitely love a feature which like as soon as I define an objective or a KR in the platform, it should give me an evaluation of that. Yeah, this looks like a good objective. You achieved this last quarter, this quarter, this seems like to be in the right path, or no, this is not a good objective. Maybe you should consider some of these alternatives that I have. So basically something like that, or which basically helps the team members define their objectives and key results based on the context that that software already has about the organization, about the progress of the team previously. So I think that would be something which if technology can solve for, it can be a game changer.
Very, very interesting. Definitely, yes. Technology can solve that, but a very good feature, very good expectation. Yeah, it will actually solve a lot of things if I'm thinking right. Thank you, thank you. Let us not keep our audience waiting. Let us answer their questions. Okay, can you manage risk and uncertainties that may arise during the execution phase using OKRs? So, Deepanjali, can you manage risk and uncertainties?
This is a very interesting question. I think this depends on the phase of planning itself. The phase when you're defining OKRs, how do you define them, right? How comprehensively you have defined it, right? I'll take a small example here. For example, we have let's say a company has the objective of generating X number of leads in a given quarter, right? Now the company knows that one channel is working well for us. So one way to do it is that scale that channel and generate X leads. Another way can be use that channel to generate X minus Y, and start another channel which focuses on Y, which is like a smaller percentage. Obviously depend on what is working more on that, right? So that is one way of using OKR frameworks to reduce the risks, basically looking at a more holistic picture. But in general, if you ask me about risks and uncertainties can be any and everything in the world, right?
Yes,
So
yeah.
I would not say that OKRs are a way to manage that. That is a different field altogether for companies. And there are experts for that. There are different processes for that in companies. But yeah, for your specific key result or your specific objective that you're talking about, definitely at the stage of definition, you can take it into account. And while execution, so execution and defining goes hand in hand. Every quarter you will again have to look back and see what you have achieved, what you have not, and then you have to recalibrate your
Right.
OKRs. So I think that would be the way to go.
Right. Shreekrishna, how
See,
will you answer it?
I agree with Deepanjali in the sense is like risk and this is something which will be there. But in an OKR framework, one of the things is that since you like if it is executed really well, there is a lot of time that people get to actually plan and see what exactly that they need to implement that. Most importantly, the flexibility of the framework gives you in at least addressing some of these the risk and everything there. So those things can be addressed or at least looked into. It's not very rigid as a framework.
Yeah, I do definitely agree that. Thank you, Deepanjali. Thank you, Shri Krishna, that there can be a lot of uncertainties and risk, and mathematically or calculation wise, if we see the industry is actually calculates that in terms of mathematical calculations, there can be so many things. But yes, the fun of OKRs is to identify the delta. if we, as Deepanjali and as you also said rightly, that if we can define it, if we can identify and define it early, then we can take care at execution level. And on as quarter progresses, we move to different quarter, we can look back, we can again kind of a change either the metric of the target of it, and till the time we have not actually solved it. So I hope my audience would agree to that. So just a gentle reminder, please fill out your form, fill out the form if you want to connect to our esteemed panelists. Really happy to introduce you. One more question. Okay, now, very interesting. Now, this is about the size. How big should be a team to start implementing OKRs or any type of strategy framework? Shreekrishna, can a startup, can a emerging startup?
Yes, very much. Any startup with because even if it is a startup with a certain set of people and everything, you are actually then going to work your OKRs accordingly.
Right. So sorry to interrupt. Can let me bring the objectivity in this question. Can a 5-member team practice OKRs or any strategy framework?
5-level team at least can do some planning,
Okay.
some part of OKRs.
Right. Because
From there on,
I
they can
often
begin.
ask this question that yes, can 5-member team, can 10-member team? We are not
A
so big.
5-member
We
team
just
can definitely
started.
define their vision for the next 1 year, if not more.
If not,
That's also a part of OKRs.
that is also part of OKRs. Okay. Deepanjali?
My belief is that it is the earlier you start, the better it is. Right? The smaller the team size is, and that process gets, whoever are the founding members in a team or in an organization, if they are aligned to the process, whoever new comes in, they will eventually get aligned to that very, very easily, right? As the size of the company becomes bigger, the challenges in implementing it become more pronounced. So my suggestion to anyone who is actually looking to implement it is to start as early as possible. The smaller the size of the team, the easier it will be to implement and be successful.
Right. Shreekrishna and Deepanjali, I'm tempted by this question. So please allow me to ask a question to you both. Okay. Now, this question hints at how small a team can start, right? Let's answer the other end of the question. How big the team can? Larger teams, are we talking that can 1,000 people team or a 2,000 people team, can a 3,000 people team, can they implement OKRs? Deepanjali.
I think the answer to this lies in where OKRs came from.
Very nice.
Google, right?
Yes.
So Google already was very big when I'm forgetting the name. Right? So
John Doerr.
Yeah. So he introduced the concept of OKRs in Google when it was already quite big, and they became the first success story of OKRs. So I'm sure in my opinion, it is a bit difficult to implement in bigger teams, but I think that should not be a reason to, stop doing that.
Shreekrishna, your answer on that question.
No, see, this has to be a process and it has to be done stepwise, step by step. I mean, just like, going for a higher number honestly doesn't help.
Yes.
Because what is also important that we need to see is that we are introducing a process, we are giving a process and the people some time and space to implement it, sustain it for a period of time, and then move to the next level.
Right.
What is important is for the organization to recognize and if I may say so, that give a try or give a chance saying that, okay, this is a framework which has been proven. There are some success stories around it and whatever that is there. We are taking this and we are implementing it at least for a period of time to be able to see whether it is helping us or not. And if they do the process correctly, in the way it is required, there are results. It's not that they are not going to get the results. There are results. But
And
that's where it's the patience, the perseverance, and allowing some time to mature. That is something very, very essential, and it's required. That's the reason it has to be phased out. There's no point in just jumping into from 1 to 2 to 3.
So thank you. So that means that yes, if the larger companies, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people company, they can also implement OKRs. And I think so. Thank you, audience, and thank you, my esteemed panelists, for giving me a topic for my exciting topic for another webinar. It may be like implementing OKRs, a strategy framework, or what does execution mean for the larger companies, for the enterprises. It will be very interesting because all we talk about is a lot of times is that yes, a scale, and scale. That is the growth that we talk about. But how does that happen at that very top? How do successful people are actually doing that? So thank you. I think so now we are towards the end of our webinar. Thank you, audience. And again, I'm reminding you, please, if you want to connect to our esteemed panelists, please fill that form. We're happy to make the introductions. Thank you, my esteemed panelists. Thank you, Deepanjali and Shreekrishna. I enjoyed the webinar. We saw a very detailed discussion right from the planning, the framework, the OKRs, the tech. Okay, what is the expectations from the tech? A very nice suggestion from you, Deepanjali, what you would like to see in the tech area. A very nice question from our audiences also. So yeah, so I hope you all have also enjoyed, my audience have also enjoyed, my esteemed panelists have enjoyed the discussion. So thank you once again. Thank you once again to my audience. Thank you once again to my esteemed panelists, Shreekrishna, Deepanjali. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks, Ravi.
See you. Bye-bye.